going live apparently. Welcome, viewers, to Good Vibes. Our special guest has returned. Introduce yourself, beautiful.
Greetings, it's Natalie, Nurture by Natalie. How you doing, sis?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for making time to join us, and we'll be doing this as regularly as life allows us. So my name's Aleakwe, Good Vibes. Today we're going to be talking about mind versus body. So this is something we wanted to talk about for a long time, and Natalie is kindly going to offer her wisdom. It's not something we're going to talk about from our perspectives. We're not experts, but it's just something that's very interesting. So basically, it's mind over body. And I watched a video by a YouTuber called Renegade Cut. So check out his content. And it was called "What is the Mind?" video, where he explores the topic of materialism, idealism, and dualism, which is very new to me, but it simply means mind versus body. And he talks about the mind-body problem. So I want to explore this question with you today, and comment below and share your experiences. Question: which of the following philosophical views do you identify with the most? Materialism, idealism, or dualism? And basically, to my way of understanding, materialism means your body powers you, and the mind or consciousness is the byproduct. Idealism, the mind powers you overall. Dualism is mind and body are linked. I'm going to repeat that because something's get your head around, but this is what I find interesting. So it's a basic way of understanding. Now, if you know or don't know about materialism, dualism, and idealism, please share your perspectives below, because it'd be interesting to know more about this. So materialism, the most basic understanding of your body powers you and the mind, and the consciousness, your consciousness is a byproduct of that. Idealism is that your mind powers everything. Dualism is both the mind and the body. So we're just going to explore that. First things that come to mind, Natalie?
The first thing that comes to mind is I feel like I lean towards idealism and dualism. I say that because to my understanding, or like just the way that I see things, is everything's created from a thought, from sort of religious doctrine. In the beginning was the word, or was it Peter Tosh said, in the beginning was the word and the word was Jah. You get what I'm saying? Like coming from that perspective. So it's about the word, or the idea that then gets communicated. If you look around you, like literally, like if you take 10 seconds to literally look around you, everything that your eye can see was created from a thought. So therefore the mind, I feel like it's like driving a car. You've got the accelerator and the clutch, and I feel like for the most part, like the clutch is running things. So I guess the clutch would be like the mind, and then the physical side would be like the accelerator. So when you need that extra va-va-voom, then you get the physical to bring to fruition what the thought was. Do you get what I mean? What I do, I genuinely feel it's the thought, it's the question, it's the, when you think about the way that most things happen and the way that most people interact, from jealousy to comedy, it's always about getting into the thought, and then the body, or the physical, the material, is then the vehicle to get it done. So that's I don't like extremes in it because I understand there's duality, which is why I think I lean more towards the dualism. But I think in that there's a hierarchy, or there should be. It's a bit like, there's a lot of talk about the ego, the ego, the ego, the ego. The ego is necessary, but the ego should be a tool, not in charge. And I think the same with idealism and with mental and material, basically.
I like that, because from at this point in this discussion, I'm leaning towards dualism.
Yeah.
I could be swayed, and I'll talk about a personal experience shortly, but I've got a second part to this question.
All right.
So at the moment, I think we're kind of both leaning to the dualism. So for those who don't know, never assume that people watching or listening know, dualism, duo, two, as in, so basically both, a balance of both.
Balance, yeah.
Exactly. So the second part of this, so in the Renegade, that my source from months ago, last year, my source is, again, Renegade Cut video, the mind and body problem. The video's creator discusses this in the context of the movie Being John Malkovich, a movie I've never understood, but now I know you need to watch properly. And he talks about also the scientific, medical, and philosophical theories. So this is, of course, all theoretical. Now, he also includes and references different philosophers, always male, of course, but we'll talk about that. So we're going to balance the scales from our perspective because they're as valid. He also talks about what happens to the mind when the body gets sick, and vice versa. What happens to the body when the mind gets sick? So in terms of us being at dualism at this point, you to go first, and then I'm going to talk about my personal experience.
Okay. Like, I totally get the point it's coming from. I need to go back and watch that Being John Malkovich, for real. The film that I would have referenced was The Matrix, like, because it's like, there's a line in there where the youth says there is no spoon, because like there's a little kid sitting there and he's using his mind to bend the spoon. Like, he's just sitting there holding the spoon and the spoon's going whoop whoop, and like the main character's looking at it, Neo, and like it's like basically kind of, Anna, how do you do that kind of thing? Like, are you doing it with your mind? Are you bending the spoon with your mind? And the little you just looks up, there is no spoon. And it's that. So in terms of, the mind can I feel like both, because if it's one of them things, I've seen people like like my own self, seen people literally through the power of the mind overcome certain illnesses. And yes, there may be other contributory factors, but it's like I know for myself, there's certain times where I've done things that it's my mind doing it. My body alone wasn't capable. It's that sheer determination, like, this is what, and being very, it's one of the rare times you feel like it's almost like you connect with everything in the universe. You're so focused, and it's heart, mind, it's in there, and in your belly, because I say that gut feeling. And there's a secondary brain in the stomach in certain, I think, like Chinese or that part of the world philosophy. The heart is also very intelligent, because it's the heart that gets weighed on the feather of my heart. But the mind, like, so my nan used to say, follow your mind. So I know I'm going off on a tangent a little bit, but
No, you're being, all of these, just speak your mind as you are, because all of these references, it's that flow of thought that helps understand in different ways.
Yeah, for real. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no, I do feel that's possible, but like for instance, just taking this COVID thing, There's a lot of people that's like, it doesn't exist, da 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 da. But then all it takes is for somebody to become ill within the realm of, like, you know, something respiratory, something flu-like, something, for people to go, well, actually, this thing might be real. And then, is it or isn't it? I'm not here to say, I'm not a scientist. I know what I feel, but I've seen people go from staunch, like, nah, 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 to, right, okay. All it takes is to get somebody in the physical, and then it starts to become a bit more real. But then it's just somebody passing away, because everybody, there's a beautiful, it was on an Islamic hearse, every soul has to taste death. And because we're taught this inherent fear of dying, I have theories on that, but we'll leave that to another time. I feel like and we avoid pain, like in there has to be dualism, because in order for there to be pain, that joy, there has to be pain, etc., etc. In order for there to be wellness, there has to be illness. That's just universal law, which is bigger than me. Do you get what I'm saying? Or anything that I could say. So when you feel pain, it makes you realize, or makes you believe in the strength of the physical material realm more. But is it pain, or is it you've registered something happening and perceived it as? I always think these like mad random things at 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning and start tweeting, because now I need to just tire it out my brain. But for instance, you know, when you bang your toe, you know, when you bang your little toe on something, and it's hot, but it's icy hot. Like, is it hot or is it cold? And it always takes about 10, it feels like about 10 seconds for the pain to kick in. You know, you banged it. Perfect example. Like, throw that one out. That one's all right. Just bang it out is just funny to me.
They talk about signals, messages within the system. Go on, land.
Yes. A perfect example is, like, you know, a toddler. When a toddler falls over, and sometimes you go to them, oh, all right, Bab, and carry on, and they're cool. But like, because I tend to be overprotective, so I go when they fall, and then they start bawling. That like, which one is it? Conditioning or what's actually happening? So sorry, I'll hand over to you. What's your feelings and thoughts on that?
No, do not apologize, because it really does help. Because honestly, never apologize for your wisdom, and there's different ways of learning, as you know. And it helps me a lot, because that's why I needed, it was a great jump off. There's different people I asked to do this over last year, interested and could talk about it, but it's very deep, but it's needed because it's our essence. Okay. I cannot land. I'm just going to state some bullet points and the reasons I cannot land. Okay. Number one, all these questions we have as men and women from before time was recorded, we still have questions. So what's not in this equation of materialism and idealism, which is another way of saying mind over matter, what's not included in this, you mentioned Islam, is a higher power, a creator, Alpha Omega, prophets, God, Buddha, whichever higher power you believe in. Now, you are referencing Matrix, which I haven't seen. The video creator, Renegade Cut, mentioned Being John Malkovich, which is multi-layered and something my brain could not, headspace could not wrap around yet. But the one that comes to mind, another film I need to sit and rewatch, and the premise was, I think it was a Naomi Wyatt film and Benicio del Toro called, this came to mind, 21 grams. And please correct me and comment below if I'm wrong. But it was basically when the body dies, and if people believe in a soul, when it's cremated or is there's still an essence of us left, do we have a soul? So this is why I can't just land on the material. And so to a personal experience, which is already being documented because my hand was forced to share my private life for other reasons. But in a video, an audio video, I explain about, so I talked about death. I do not, there's a saying about death that speaks to me, my spirit, in that it's the anticipation of death that is feared, not death itself. So when I was going through seizures, epileptic seizures, there's 4 days I cannot recover. So multiple tests, evidence, and it's solely based on cerebral, neurological causes this particular seizure. So there happened multiple different types of seizures, frontal lobe, everything, but caused by one issue, which is cerebral and managed. Nothing has ever happened for 2 years plus. So that makes the fact that relying on pharmacy, something material and synthetic, to control the electrons and the signals in our bodies. So you've got probably scientists, medical professionals who are saying that things like the light, I got to thinking about the light that people see. I, being very analytical, was methodically throughout, okay, am I in limbo? Why am I not thinking of my Pekin? Why can I hear new voices, my family, and new faces talk about medical stuff I've never thought about before? About dreaming, these kind of different realms, as you call it. I am very, very, no one has all the answers, so I'm open to learning, hence this platform, hence your wisdom. So these are the different points why I cannot land, and I need you people's perspectives about what you feel. So coming back to this, losing 4 days that you cannot get back in a seizure state, and there's different types, but after coming out, I could remember what happened coming out. I could remember the different voices, the doctors, the teams, the multidisciplinary teams, neurological, occupational therapy, all kinds coming out of it. So it's this kind of, what's the body memory retaining, what's new, and what is beyond our scope of understanding when it's a higher power, because we still have questions. This is where I'm at. So when I'm now thinking about these things like sixth sense, when I'm thinking about, and also I don't allow myself to be held by, yes, we love movies, songs, all these things we reference to help bridge understanding, but I don't let it land with me. Hence why I'm here today, because I wasn't shook. I was analyzing all the time, and I could tell people what happened better than they knew themselves, because they didn't realize I was actively tuned in when I came out. It's a wonder to me, and this is why I believe in a higher power and trying to understand this. So yeah, the light at the end of the tunnel, not to dismiss anybody's experience, but physicians and medical teams who believe in the physical, the tangible, MRI scans, multiple physical examinations, tangible, will dismiss the light at the end of the tunnel. I did not see that, but I understand why. And some people will tell you it's the electrons, the protons, the signals, electricity in our bodies, which is what we're made of, and signals, things like that. So I can't land yet, sis.
And maybe you're not supposed to, because maybe in the not landing is the awareness that there's more to know. I truly feel or intuit, and I can only say feel because I don't know for sure, but I feel like maybe, again, this is why I'm duality. Maybe it was the functioning of those neurons because, okay, electrical, yes. Electricity has a frequencies and it wattage, ohms, this and that. There's frequency within it, even down to like vibrations. That there's that test where they put the sand on the speaker, and when they run the frequency through it, and it makes different sounds. All right, I mean shapes and what have you. So that sound affecting physical like waves. So electricity has them same waves as well, and frequencies, just like you have frequencies. It could have been like just scenarios. It could have been that you just needed to rest. So your brain, and because we have a tendency to keep going even when we need to rest because we got things to do and everybody's depending on us and pulling us here, there, and everywhere. It's like I saw something the other day. It's like if you don't factor in rest, your body will make you, and maybe the way through the maybe it wasn't consciously, but through the utilization of your bioelectricity, you was able to because put yourself. Was you feeling any pain?
No pain at all. No residual pain, no trauma, no bruising after about 12 different battery of tests and scans and CT scans. So nothing anywhere at all. It's literally an internal vessel and they don't know the root of it, but they know that's what causes it. So the symptom of that is the seizures. And it's so interesting, the misunderstandings that people have with that. So it's separate to a literal physical force. It's internal. So there's no fracture, there's no fall, there's no nothing. But so I was fully aware, but also, you have so many things that are it's just lucky I'm a very strong soul that likes objectivity, because the steroids, the all the pharmaceutical influence as well, because it was a kind of, it's so hard to describe, but there was no pain. It was just frustration at not having the answers. Thankfully, I had a couple of people around me, including the multidisciplinary team, husband included, just being straight honest. So you have that foundation. It's like, so why is this not happening? Unfortunately, the introduction of helpful, like saved my life, pharmaceutical stuff, the introduction of it would make me recall 20 years of news stories, of thinking of me just finding answers. Why are there witch doctor? Why are kids taken as witch doctors when they're shaking? It could just be epilepsy. Why the human trafficking? I had all these years as a broadcast producer and researcher, different things like to answer. Why am I here? Where am I? What's happened to me? Removing analysis. What could happen? Should I be fighting when I'm able to? This kind of stuff. So there was no pain. It was just more exertion, finding answers in a new, very hard situation, where you can't, it's unusual to be helped, but they were there to help and listen. So that's why I'm so interested in this topic, because as a jump off, and I love that you've actually helped me land when you're saying you don't have to land.
Okay.
You don't have to land on either materialism, the body, the physical, or idealism, the mind, or dualism, both.
Yeah.
But there's another thing, is like the unknown. The unknown, there not always be answers.
Well, this is the thing, and I do feel as if where science can answer a lot of questions, I feel as if there are things that science just cannot explain in a purely scientific way without bringing something else in. It appears as if you were occupying two different sets of spaces at the same time. It was almost as if on the physical realm, you was, you was occupying a space that was restful and still, but it appears like the film Interstellar springs to mind, where you're aware of everything that's going on, what form takes a different form because it, and I think that's why a lot of times people deny these things and dismiss the more mind otherworldly stuff, is because one, I feel as if the frustration is about not being in control, because being in control makes us feel safe. There's
Mm.
also the ego that's involved. There's good or bad, it's a tool. It should be to use, but that's why it's good to. The ego is a good thing if you know how to use it. Which it sounded as if you actually did, because you was using it to ask questions like, "What's going on?" Like, you didn't seem like you was just watching you speak about it and listening. I was actually closing my eyes at points because it would. There seemed to have been a calm about it, and we have to also remember, from a scientific standpoint, most humans maybe use 13% of their brain. And I kind of think maybe, especially with like shortened attention spans and more
Mm.
sedentary lifestyles, etc., 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 it might even be a bit smaller. Certainly, listening to people sometimes and the fecal matter that emanates from out their mouth, I'm thinking, well, what you on. Not to say that I know everything, because I don't, but at least
Mm.
I've got the manners, the humility, and the presence of mind to ask questions, just like yourself. You get what I'm saying? Um,
Yes.
and so, if the average human uses maybe around 13%, let's give us the grace of that. Yeah, that's been proven or whatever. Then you have, okay, well, if that's 13%, what's in the rest? Them say people that are musicians or can speak other languages kind of maybe go up, or psychics can reach up to about 20%. But then again, who said that? Was that somebody who couldn't access the other parts or what
Mm.
have you? So it's like, I say that, all of that to say, one, what's in the other 87%? And also, I'm thinking that maybe that electronic activity could have been like unlocking a doorway or something, like you have a scan card tap, because
Mm.
that's electrical impulses that causes a reaction to happen. So maybe that process allowed you to enter a space that
Mm.
we don't. Well, first we've been taught to fear that space.
Mm.
We've been socialized to fear it, obviously, because, well, for my understanding is, um, the more people that have an understanding of that space and understanding of how to navigate that space would mean they're a lot less controllable.
Mm.
Um, you know, I mean, just perfect example is last year when what have you, and there was the which I hate using the phrase, but there was the protesting that happening for a set of people, a demographic. There was another demographic that, yeah, there were small amounts that were like, you know what, yeah, we get what you're on about. But for the majorities, like, what you doing that for? Like, there's no need to go on like that. Why you protesting for? Da 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 da. And then when another demographic again turns around and admonishes and physically negatively impacts because of that, then there was again, it brought around certain questions about, well, if you didn't do this, then that wouldn't happen, and if you didn't do this, this wouldn't happen. And then, you know, rest in power to the lady, but is it Sarah? I don't want to call no names because in case I get it wrong. Anyway, but the
Yeah.
young lady that was taken.
Let me get the name. Correct. Rest in peace. And
Everard,
our
and I think the last name
thoughts,
is.
our thoughts are only with her and
Yeah,
her family and all those who have lost loved ones, because
yeah.
to be having to go through all of this, plus everyone justified anyway, that's another topic. So the
What do you hear the
full
difference?
name is Sarah Everard.
Sarah
So
Everard.
rest in peace to your family, rest in peace, Sarah, and to your families and loved ones, and all those who have had violence against them and are not having justice.
Ashe. Well, here's the thing. When those that didn't have justice were not having justice and saying they didn't have justice, there's a group of people, because they hadn't experienced it and had no understanding of it, was like, what are you on about? And it took for them to have to experience that same level of trauma with injustice on top, with the knowing that the person that's supposed to help serve the justice is the perpetrator on top. It was a really short, sharp lesson. That's what we was talking about. But the difference is that I saw was being the analogy of the scorpion and the frog. It's our nature to support and help and be empathic and what have you. There was no denial of the thing, you get me? It was just an
Mm,
understanding. Now you understand because you've experienced it, because you can relate.
mm,
Now you can relate, which shows there wasn't a relation or a relating before. And I know that was again long-winded way of going around, but just I said that to say, in terms of accessing other places or being aware of other places, other realms, other spaces that we can occupy, possibly in different forms. Um, I think there has to be an experience of it, or just a openness. But yeah, control. That's where I was at. At the crux of it is the control and the controllability. Because how do you control somebody that, for instance, somebody that understands that they can disappear and reappear at will? How would you arrest them?
mm,
How would you subjugate them?
mm,
It sounds crazy, but when I was unwell, at one point, when, because I nearly touched death, like so and losing the days, I lost 2 days as well. So when you were saying that, it was just like, yeah, bro, like,
mm,
okay.
mm,
um Again, occupying space, so I totally get you. um
mm,
I was doing this thing because I'd watched a Billy Carson webinar just before I got ill. And one of the points he was talking about is like commanding your body, this and that. And what I was doing, I'll tell you off. You know what? I'll tell you offline. But what if somebody is able to heal themselves from illness?
mm,
Because then, do we have to interact with industry? Because
mm,
industry is, I have something, you pay me for it.
mm. That's kind of
So
what's it called, medical capitalism that you're talking about. We're going to
mm,
hold this because I think we need to do a separate one on
yeah,
this.
we do.
But I just think it's really fantastic, valid points that you're making. Please share this and comment below with your perspectives and reactions to what we discuss in terms of basically mind over matter, mind versus body, or both. Which has more dominance, do you feel, from your perspective, or as a collective, as a society? Is it mind over matter? Can you will your own? Natalie brings up some very valid points. Can you will yourself to health, as well as things like that? You know, that touches on things like what's that?
The secret and that, a manifesting and thing.
No, I'll think about it. It'll come to me after we finish this. But do comment below. We're going to finish this here and do another topic. But yes, so this has been what's it called? Mind versus body.
Mhm.
And dualism. Which side are you on? Comment below. Materialism, idealism, or dualism, or neither. Something other that we haven't touched on. Share and comment below. Last word to Natalie.
I just want to say a big thank you. I really enjoyed discussing this subject. Thanks for bringing it. Like I said, bless her. I live like, yo, salute, good vibes to everybody watching. And yeah, man, drop your comments, even if it's to say you think that we're chatting for art. Like, I think it's important. And hit the like button.
Love it. All right, take care.
Peace.